I think everybody would love to have 100% customer loyalty, where whenever somebody needs whatever you have to offer, that they only call you. I mean, wouldn't that be perfect? It'd be great. Hi, this is Rob G, and welcome to Savvy. Today I want to talk to you about the branding path. Now, any organization, team, business, or even individual who wants to establish a brand has to follow a path in order to get to the ultimate place that every brand wants to be, and that's really landing at customer loyalty. I think everybody would love to have 100% customer loyalty, where whenever somebody needs whatever you have to offer, that they only call you. I mean, wouldn't that be perfect? It'd be great that they don't call your competition, they only call you, and they would not call anybody else. You know, I think there's a lot of big brands out there that we know are like that, where people just will not switch. Apple, people who are passionate about Apple products would never even consider switching, and that's evidenced in the fact that, you know, for the price of an iPhone or MacBook, you can get a considerably less alternative version, but people would rather pay more than switch. And that comes with other reasons in the case of Apple, but even you can have a very successful brand where people wouldn't call on anybody else, that they would always want to come to you, and you can achieve that level of customer loyalty, which is basically them retaining you, retaining your services. I don't mean in a retainer format where they're going to pay you every month, but what I mean is that you're retaining their loyalty and their repeat service and their reorders and their, you know what I'm getting at. That loyalty's golden. It's where you want to be. So where do you start with that? If you're just starting out, and let's take, if you're in the case of if you're doing some personal branding, say you're a personal trainer, for instance, and there's a lot of personal trainers out there, and you want to be able to you want to be able to separate yourself from the rest of them. You know, essentially that's what branding is, by the way. It's been said, branding is the art of differentiation. So if that's true and you want to differentiate yourself, first of all, people have to know you exist. And that's the first place you start, and that's awareness. Are people even aware that you exist? Are they aware of the fact that you're around and you offer the services that you offer? If they're not aware, well, you're in obscurity, and that's no place you want to be. But the good news, you got no place to go but up. So awareness is going to be, in this day and age, if you're not on social media in some form or another on a regular basis, you're not even really out there. You're not even in the game. If you listen to some of the social media experts, they'll tell you it is where people are hanging out. And honestly, you don't need an expert to tell you this. Just go to your local mall and just look around. See how many people are walking around with their heads down because they're looking at their phone, right? That's just the society we live in. You go out to dinner and you look over at the table next to you, and there's a couple sitting there, and she's on her phone, he's on his phone, and they're not even talking. Why? Because they're on their social media. They're checking their Twitter feed, they're seeing what's going on Instagram. That's what's going on. So in order to best put yourself out there to be aware, you need to be on social media. You need to find out, and really you need to identify, is a better way to say it, who your audience is. So who are you looking to target? If you're a personal trainer, people that are out of shape, which fortunately for you is most people. Most people are out of shape. But there's some people, not everybody's gonna hire a personal trainer to help them get into shape necessarily. So the few people that are, they're gonna be looking for somebody, and you actually have to be in front of them somehow. So are you on Facebook? Do you have a YouTube channel? Are you giving away content and advice? And I don't want to say giving away your services for free, but that's essentially the society we live in now. We are giving value away because we're in a society where giving it away usually means it comes back to you, and that is a greater principle. So share what you know, share it on Facebook and YouTube, and share some routines on Instagram, some short videos, and give people tips on how to get going. Because a lot of times, if you're just helping people get going, you're helping. And really what you're doing is you're establishing yourself as an expert, and you're making them aware that you exist, and when the time comes that they're gonna call on somebody, you want it to be you. And that's actually where the next stage is. After awareness comes familiarity. After a while, after you've been in your social media spaces for quite some time, you're gonna become familiar with people. On a local level, if you're Facebook organizations, Facebook groups, if you're doing it at a real local level, you will be on there and people will get to know who you are and pass your name around because they're familiar with you. Not necessarily because they hired you or even knew who you were, but just the fact that you're on there and you have exposure, that familiarity leads to just a little bit of trust, enough where somebody might call you. Step 3 is going to be consideration. You want to get to a place where when the time comes that somebody's going to make a buying decision, you want to be considered. You want to be on that list of people they're going to call, people they're going to look at, to go to their websites, to see what they're about. You want to be considered for their purchase, because that's generally what people do. Even if it's just in their heads, they're making a list. First it's a long list, and then they narrow it down to a short list of which they find the best people they think might be for them. You want to be able to be considered for that. So the way you get considered is you are perceived as an expert. You've given away enough value that people trust you and that you know what you're doing, and maybe they've seen some recommendations by some former clients. So after consideration, what happens next? Hopefully, they choose you. So choice is the next step on the path in branding. Hopefully they choose you. Now, why would they choose you? This becomes a little bit less about your skills, because they've already evaluated you in the consideration stage. All things being equal, if there was 3 different personal trainers and they all had the same skill set, what is the separating factor then? How do you become the choice by a particular consumer? And what that's going to come down to is that's going to come down to character. People want to be associated with people that they want to be associated with. Somebody they feel comfortable with, somebody that they feel is relatable, and maybe on a gut level, they feel like this is the person for me. This is the person I want to work with. There's just something about them that I like. And it's usually of a positive nature, because especially in the area of personal training, it's a very positive environment, because we're looking to genuinely help people in a very direct way achieve things that they maybe can't do on their own. So if you're going to be choice, your character has to precede you. That association that they're going to have with you is what they're going to base that choice on. So to be the one that's chosen out of a select short list of people, it's going to come down to that character. And after choice, well, the next step is, if you've provided great service, if you have won on the character aspect, you have quality service, you have a quality product, in this case it would be a quality service, well then you're going to move to the loyalty space. And if the consumer is happy in all areas, and we're going to call this the total experience, if the customer's experience has been largely positive, overwhelmingly positive, really what you want to shoot for, well then you're going to reach loyalty with that customer. And you know what loyalty means. Loyalty means is you're the person for them, and they wouldn't dream of going to anybody else, because you've helped them get results. You've done it in a way where they feel they like you and they trust you and they want to be associated with you. And so the next time after you help a person get in shape and they're at a social event and somebody compliments them and they say, "What did you do?" And they'd say, "Hey, I worked with this personal trainer, phenomenal. I highly recommend, let me shoot you their email. You got to get in touch with them." Well, that's loyalty to the greatest extent, because now you got people talking about you in a positive way. And so that loyalty is going to be spread around in the form of word of mouth referrals. And what better way to gain new business by somebody else talking good about you? So that's the branding path. In short, you want to start at awareness, move to familiarity, move up to consideration, to be considered, and then it's on to be choice, to be the selection when they make their choice, and then on to loyalty. That's a basic run of the path, and maybe in future videos we'll get into more of those details. But if you have any questions about it, spike those comments below. I want to hear what you think about this, not as a concept, but what you think a way it could pertain to you. And if you have any questions about any step of this process and where you might be at, but maybe struggling to get to the next step, I want to hear those. I want you to please subscribe to this channel if you find this information is of some value, and share it around, because maybe there's somebody else that you know would like to be able to help their brand get to that loyalty stage. So I'm Rob G. Remember, always be learning, always stay savvy, and thanks for watching. Have a great day.